Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Motor-Couture. Today we're taking you through our new premium headlight kit with the ceramic coating included on this BMW X5. Right, to start off the process, we're going to pre-soak our sandpaper. So we've got a sheet of 800, a sheet of 1200 and a sheet of 2000. So we're going to put this in a bucket of warm water with a couple of drops of car shampoo in, and while that's pre-soaked, what we're going to do is we're going to move on, mask the headlights up, and that'll leave us in a good position to start the sanding phases of the headlight restoration. I'm going to start the sanding stages with the 800 grit sandpaper. So this has been in here for about 10 minutes now. The paper's fully saturated with water. What we've done is we've added some car shampoo, which just helps the lubrication when you're moving it across the light face. So what we're going to do, we're going to just fold it roughly in half. You can do it either way. You just want it in a nice, easy, workable place like so, to be able to move this backwards and forwards across the light. So I'm going to keep dipping this in the water, and what we're going to do is we're going to do this all in one motion, backwards and forwards. So I'm going to start at the end here, and we're just going to do it horizontally across the light. Just move it nice and back and forth, not pressing too hard. So I'm just going to keep doing this, keep dipping it in the sand, keep dipping it in your water, and moving it backwards and forwards across the light face. So you'll see there the yellow, the oxidation's coming away from the light really quickly, and that's what we want to see. So basically when we finish this, it'll be nice and uniform, all up in the same condition. Another point to note, when doing this, you want to try and remove all the defects with the 800 grit sandpaper, and that'll leave you in a good position when we go on to the next steps, and you'll be left with a perfectly flawless looking headlight. So now we've completed the 800 step going horizontally across the light. What we're going to do is we're going to take the cloth that's providing the set. So we get two of these, 40 by 40 centimeters. What we're going to do is just going to wipe off any residual excess from the light, and then you'll be able to inspect to make sure you've removed all of the defects. So I'm just going to go over the top of this. You can see there's a lot of this yellow oxidation still on the lens. So I'm just going to wipe over the top of it. Nice, get all of the remaining stuff off. What you should have is a really nice uniform finish. So there is a slight mark in this headlight that looks to be inside, which is okay. We can't do anything with the insides, but the rest of it looks really uniform, really flat, and all of the scratches look uniform across the whole of the lens. So I'm just going to do this for both lenses. So wipe this side off. Remove any of the residual sanding that was left on and all the oxidation that we've just sanded off, and what we can see is there got a really good finish on this light also. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to 1200 now, using the same what we did before, and then we'll move on to 2000 afterwards. Now 800 is complete. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to 1200. So same again, fold it in half, nice easy size to work with, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to go over the top of the light again, and this time I want you to go perpendicular to the lines we did before. So we went this way in the first step on the 800. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go this way across the light. So the idea is behind this, what you can do is, if you look at it really carefully, you should be able to see when the lines underneath that are going horizontal have disappeared. So that means you've completed the full step. So if you don't do enough sanding, what you will notice is these lines underneath, they won't polish out with the polisher, so you've got to make sure you remove all of the sanding marks from the previous step. That goes for 1200 and the 2000. So just going backwards and forwards over the top again, like so. And what we'll do in a second, once I've gone over this little section, we'll just dry it off, and I'll show you what it should look like. So we'll get the cloth, and we're just going to buff this off now. And if we get really up close with the camera, hopefully we'll be able to pick up that there's no marks going across the light and on a horizontal. So So that dry a little bit. So you can see here where we've gone up to. So they're now going diagonally across the light. The 800 that we haven't yet sanded, you can see the scratches moving this way. So you're going to go over the whole lens with the 1200 in this direction, and then that'll be enough for 1200. So just make sure you're getting all the marks out before moving on to the next stages of the sanding. So now we've finished the 1200 step, what we'll do is we'll just dry it off again like I've just done at the end of the time lapse there. And what we'll do is we'll do a nice thorough inspection now just to make sure that we've removed all of the 800 step. So looking at this headlight here, I can't see any lines that go horizontally across the light, which would have been left from the 800 step. As you can see, this section here looks really, really good. All of the scratches are moving this way across the lens. So if you have any bits that don't look quite right, what you can do is just go back over it with a 1200 to make sure you've got it all out, dry it off again. The more meticulous you are, the better for this scenario. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the 2000 step, and we'll go over that before we start polishing the headlights back up to a perfectly clear looking finish. Now we're going to move on to 2000, and this is the final stages of the sanding. What we're going to do is we're going to do them in the same direction we did the 800, so we're going to do it horizontally across the light again. Same principles apply. You just want to make sure you've removed all of the marks going this way that you've created during the 1200 step. So exactly the same again, just keeping it wet at all times, backwards and forwards across the lens like so. And then we're just going to do the whole lens that direction and get them looking a little bit better. And what you will notice is it'll get a little bit more transparent on this final step, and that's exactly what it should look like before we start the polishing stages with the headlight restoration. So as you can see, I'm sanding there, it's getting a little bit clearer with every little pass, and that's what we want to see. Right, so we've finished 2000 now. You can see it's all one really nice uniform finish, and the scratches all going that direction. And now it's time to move on to the polishing stages. So I wanted to go over this in just a little bit more detail than we did last time, just to explain the process and how you're going to do it. So these 3-inch polishing pads are made of foam, and what they are like a Velcro hook and loop type setup on the back. And you've got a backing plate, so what you're going to do is you're going to pop that into your drill, tighten it up, and we're going to use it in a clockwise rotation like so. The reason we use it in a clockwise rotation is the metal part that goes into the back of the pad is tightened up in a clockwise rotation. So for whatever reason, if it sticks, what it'll do is it'll tighten itself up rather than loosen itself, which is a good thing. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your pad. I want you to just pop it onto the backing plate like so. Try and get it as nice and straight as you can for a perfect fit, 3 inches on the backing face like so. So as for polishing, what we're going to do is we're going to try to do roughly half the headlight in one go. If your headlights are a little bit bigger, that's okay, don't worry about that, you can do it in the smaller section if you need to. There's no right or wrong answer for doing the polishing stages. Just try not to do it all in one go, as you won't get a good finish. So what I'm going to do is, we've got some water in a spray bottle here. What this does is it provides lubrication for the polisher. So what you're going to do is I'm just going to spray some water off of this, like so. I'm just going to do one spray of water, 1 to 2 sprays like so. You don't want it soaking wet, because what it'll do is it will make the polish go all over the place when you do start polishing. So what I've got here is the Menzerna 400 compound. This isn't some sort of magic formula, it's really, really good quality compound. I use it for paintwork, and we use it for the lights as well. Really, really good stuff. So what I want you to do is, I'm going to put 4 skittle size beads on here, and then we're going to start polishing over the face of the headlight. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a guide before we do that. So what we'll do is we're going to want to keep the pad flat to the surface, as flat as you can. And what we'll do is when we put the first amount on, we're just going to spread it across the panel. So I want you to put 4 skittle size beads on here, like so. It's quite viscous, so make sure you give it a shake just to get the polish to go to the bottom of the bottle. And what we're going to do is we're just going to dab this on roughly half the headlight in one go, like so. And then what we'll do is we'll spread that across nice and even. So I'm just going to go over the top of it now like so, and what that'll do is that'll just make sure that we've got compound all the way across the area that we want to polish. So what you'll do is to start off, you're just going to start off slow, just stops it from slinging everywhere. So if you start off with a nice slow speed with your drill, you can go over quickly at this stage, and that just spreads the polish in nicely. So now we've got this polish spread, what I want you to do is we're going to ramp the speed up slowly and we'll get up to full speed of the drill. You want to move the polishing pad across the face about 1 to 2 inches a second. Keep it moving, so you don't want to hold it in one place like so. You want to be moving it like nice and gently across the light face. So you can see here, full width of the pad. What I'm going to do is on the next bit underneath, we'll roughly do half the pad on the next pass. If that makes sense. So just going to start off polishing here. We'll go like this. See, I'm going over that, moving very slowly, and we'll just keep ramping the speed up like so. Backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. So as you can see there, we've polished that up there nicely. What happens is, as the polish breaks down, what will happen is the polish will go from white, it'll get clearer and clearer, and then you know it's time to wipe it off. So what we'll do is wipe away the residue now with the yellow cloth provided. And what we should be left with is a really, really nice clear finish on that headlight. So this stuff, Menzerna, buffs off really nicely, really easy to use. So I'm just going to go over it again with that there, the cloth, get it nice and cleared off, make sure there's no residue left on the light from the polishing stages, and what you'll notice is we've got a really, really lovely looking finish there on that headlight face. So what we'll do next is we're going to do the same technique again at the end of the headlight. We'll do one spray of water again. So I usually do one spray away from the car like so, just to make sure you're getting all the water purged through the nozzle here. One spray, and then once again 4 skittle size beads. Give it a shake like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. And then what we'll do is the same technique again. We're going to do the dab across the light. Make sure you just cover sort of the intermediate section from the previous pass. Just go over the top, and it doesn't matter if you go over it again and again. That's fine. We're going to do the exact same as what we've done on the previous step there. Right, so that's the polishing stage is complete on headlight number 1. As you can see, it looks really, really good. Got a really nice finish on that lens, crystal clear, looking really nice. So what I'm going to do is, before we move on to the ceramic coating and the sealing stages, I'm going to polish up headlight number 2, which is still sat at 2000 grit, and then we'll be good to move on to the other side. So just get a nice little look at that clean lens there. Right, so we've now got headlight number 2, nicely polished up as well. Lovely uniform finish there. You see the reflections in the light, looking really good. So we're going to move now on and start doing the ceramic coating. So we're going to remove all of the masking tape and try and get everything nice and clean as we can. So all of this polish residue, I'm going to get rid of all of this with a cloth, get as rid of much of it as you can. Same on both sides. So what I'll do in this section is normally I'll just get the cloth and just run it under the headlight bead here to remove any water. We want it really nice and clean for putting the ceramic coating on. This is really important, which we will explain in the next step. So just give it a nice good clean up all around the area, and then we'll move on to the ceramic coating application. So now we're going to move on to do the ceramic coating. So some really key points that you need to adhere to. So when you set, we've supplied you with some black nitrile gloves. These are latex free, just in case anybody wanted to know. So the kit includes all of the following. So we've got some alcohol wipes. What we're going to do is we're going to wipe these down. We've got the ceramic coating, the applicator and the foam pads to put it on, and then we've got the larger 20 by 20 centimeter removal cloth for the residue at the end of the coating kit. So what we're going to do is, it's really important that we clean these up really well. So we supply 2 alcohol wipes, and what this does is it's IPA alcohol, and what we're going to do is it will just remove any residues, greases, oils that are left on the headlights. So I'm just going to open this up. These are really nice and wet, so they do rub on really easy, and what this will do is it just removes any oils or anything left on. The reason we're wearing gloves for this is that the oils from your hands can stop the application from working. So we want it as nice and clean as possible. Because it's IPA, what will happen is that the residue will just disappear and evaporate in the atmosphere. So we'll use 2 of these. I'm just going to use 1 for today, so I'm going to clean both of them up at the same time. So we'll move on to the other headlight. I'm going to do the same thing. Make sure you've coated the whole of the light with this, just to make sure we're getting any grease or waxes away from the light face. So what will happen now is that will buff off nicely, and then what we'll do is just quickly go over it, the top of it. You just use this one to remove any excess that's left on there. So I'm just going to quickly go over the top. You'll instantly feel that feels a lot drier and a lot less slick than it did before. It's just because we've removed all of the polish and any residues that were left over. We'll do the same with this side. Just make sure there's no dust, lint or anything stuck to the top of it before we apply the coating. Right, so ceramic coating, so basically we supply 3 mil. This is a sea quartz ceramic coating from CarPro. The reason we've used this one, it's really user friendly, can be done outside as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we do this on a nice dry day. We don't want it to rain at any point, and after 1 hour this is okay to get wet, but it cures properly within 7 days. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the applicator, it's applied in the set. So we've got this block one here, it's a foam pad. So what we do is we're going to put the small suede cloth over the top of it, like so, and then we'll hold it just like that on the light. So we'll hold up the ceramic coating. I'm just going to pop that back on there, keep it nice and clean, everything away, no dirt. And what you'll notice is this has got a little small stopper cap. I'm going to lift that up to expose the hole for the ceramic coating underneath. Now what we're going to do is we'll get the dropper now, and we're going to drop this onto the cloth. So dropping it on like so. I'm going to get nice and wet, and then what we'll be able to do is we're going to go over the light face in a second. So you'll see we've got a nice little stripe there. Use about half that bottle for 1 light, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 quick movement across the centre, and then we're going to go back and forward over the top of that line and make sure that the whole lens is covered. And what you will see is as it starts to cure, it'll start to look like an oil stain on the top of that light face. So I'm just going to do both of these at the same time, because we have to leave that for a little bit to cure before we buff it off. So for the rest of this bottle, the cloth, and we'll do the same for the other side. And we'll just do it over the top of it, like so, and then we'll just backwards and forwards, zigzag, flatten out the ceramic coating, like so. If you have any raised sections on your headlights, you don't have to use the backing pad. Like if you've got a small section, like say a corner, you can take it off and you can just rub it in around the edges, anywhere that needs a little bit of extra. So I'm just going to go around the corners of these lights where the applicator can get to, and then what we'll do is we'll leave that on for a couple of minutes. So it's a little bit difficult to pick this up on the video, but what happens in ceramic coating is it flashes off So basically ceramic coating, it's a silicon dioxide coating, and what it has is it has a carrier in it, a solvent. So what we do is when we put it on, we want the solvent to evaporate. So on a warmer day it'll evaporate quicker, on a colder day it takes a little bit longer to go off. So we've left these on for a couple of minutes. It's a bit hard to see, but there's sort of like, you can see a little bit at the top here, this little bit of oil staining sort of look. So what we'll do is just do a quick swipe test. So if you run your finger over the top of it, it shouldn't smudge all over the place, and this is roughly around when you want to start buffing it off. You don't want to leave it on too long. A couple of minutes is more than enough normally, so it depends on how thick you put the coating on. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the big 20 by 20 centimetre suede cloth, and I'm going to buff away the residue from this coat. So I can see it looks really, it's got a sort of like an oil slick appearance to it, and what we should be able to do is we should be able to buff it off nice and easy. You want to make sure you're really meticulous with this, getting every little bit that you can see off, because if it does set with that oil stain mark to it, you won't be able to remove it. You'll have to polish it back off again. So just make sure you really cover over the whole lens. Sea quartz is really good for this. It's probably one of the nicest and easiest ones to work with that we've found. So just make sure you cover the whole lens over with a ceramic coat. Buff all of this off. So normally what I do is I'll try to get a good inspection. I'll look from multiple angles just to make sure that that's all really removed, and you can just do that. And if you do find any little bits, obviously just wipe any on your paint around the lights that you've managed to overspill, just wipe it off and everything will be fine. So that looks really good there, complete. So I'm going to go move on to the other side, and I'll do the same for the other side, because that will also be ready now to be buffed off as well. So just put over here, quick swipe test. As you can see, it doesn't swipe away when I do that. It's ready to be removed. I'm just going to go over the top of this cloth, make sure we get the all off. So that is now complete. We've done the ceramic coating. Only thing left to do now is just let it dry. It takes a full 24 hours to cure, and then it does harden over a period of 7 days. So you can get these wet after around an hour, but try to keep it dry as possible and just leave it for a good day before you wash your car, etc. And that is around about it. We've now got perfectly clear, good looking headlights that are sealed for time to come.